The power's out. Not just your house, the entire grid. Gone. No lights, no heat, no water, and it's not coming back anytime soon. You've got 3 hours before your fridge turns into a biohazard, 8 hours before your phone dies, and if it's winter, hypothermia could hit by nightfall. Sound extreme? It's not. In 2023 alone, over 25 million Americans were hit by major blackouts. California, Texas, Louisiana, New York. Take your pick. Wildfires, cyber attacks, ice storms, grid failure, all increasing. And if the experts are right, the next one won't be a flicker. It'll be a collapse. So let me ask you this. What do you have buried right now? What have you stashed that'll actually matter when everything electronic turns to junk and society starts playing real-life Hunger Games for a loaf of bread? Because after 72 hours, law and order start to fray. And if you think you'll just go to the store, spoiler, the store's been looted since hour 6. These are the 10 items you'll wish you buried before the blackout. And if you haven't yet, you've still got time. But not much. Item number 10, manual coffee grinder and sealed coffee beans. Let's get something straight right out of the gate. If the power's out and your first thought is, where's the coffee? Congratulations, you're human. But if you didn't think ahead and bury a manual grinder and a stash of vacuum-sealed beans like some kind of caffeinated squirrel, well, you're about to find out how deep the caffeine withdrawal rabbit hole goes. We're talking migraines, mood swings, and a general, why did I even survive the apocalypse vibe. You think you're grumpy without coffee now? Wait until it's day 3 of the blackout and you're trying to steep instant coffee crystals in cold water like a medieval potion master. And here's the kicker. Coffee is more than your morning fix. It's actually a survival item. The caffeine keeps your brain alert when you haven't slept, and during a grid-down scenario, odds are sleep won't exactly come easy. Oh, and did I mention coffee also has trade value? That's right. You're not just stockpiling a beverage, you're stockpiling liquid gold. During Venezuela's 2019 blackout, people were literally bartering for coffee and clean water. Civil unrest. Coffee is comfort. Anxiety? Coffee makes it worse, but at least it tastes good. So do yourself a favor. Bury a heavy-duty stainless steel manual grinder, a few Mylar bags of whole beans with oxygen absorbers, and keep it all in a weatherproof container underground. That way, while everyone else is nursing headaches and screaming at empty K-cups, you're sipping your brew like a blackout baron. Pro tip, don't forget the filters and a pour-over cone. And if you don't drink coffee, still bury it. You'll trade it for something you do need when the blackout circus rolls into town. Item number 9, high-efficiency rocket stove and biomass fuel. Here's something most people don't think about until it's far too late. How exactly are you going to cook anything when there's no power, no gas, and your fancy electric stove just became a 200-pound countertop? I'll wait. The answer better be a rocket stove, and not one of those rinky-dink ones from the discount aisle. I'm talking about a real insulated, high-efficiency biomass-burning beast that can turn twigs and pine cones into enough heat to boil water faster than your neighbor can say, "Do you have any spare propane?" See, rocket stoves aren't just cool-sounding. They're survival gold. Designed with hyper-efficient combustion chambers, they can reach blistering temperatures using tiny amounts of fuel. And that matters when the only wood you can find is half wet and buried under snow. During the massive power outages in Ukraine, these stoves kept families warm and fed even when traditional cooking methods were impossible. And guess what? They don't smoke much either, which means you're not advertising your location with a massive plume like a cartoon villain. That's tactical cooking, baby. Now here's where it gets better. Burying biomass fuel, like compressed sawdust bricks, wood pellets, or even DIY dry tinder, means you're not scrambling to burn your furniture when the freeze hits. Rocket stoves also double as emergency heaters. You think your wool blanket's going to keep you warm in a snowstorm with no power? Good luck. Meanwhile, your buried stove and fuel bricks are waiting patiently underground, dry as a bone and ready to roast dinner while everyone else eats cold canned peas in the dark. Don't wait for FEMA to show up. Get a rocket stove and bury that sucker like your life depends on it. Because in a long blackout, it actually might. Item number 8. Solar battery bank with flexible panels. You can have the gear, the food, the lights, and all the emergency gadgets your doomsday heart desires, but without power. They're just expensive paperweights. That's why this next one's a non-negotiable. A buried solar battery system with portable, flexible panels. Not those big roof slabs either. We're talking foldable, ultra-thin monocrystalline panels that can be laid out anywhere like a high-tech picnic blanket. During the Puerto Rico blackout after Hurricane Maria, over 1.5 million people were without power for weeks. Not days, weeks. But you know who wasn't? The folks who buried solar setups and pulled them out when the grid croaked. Now here's what the average prepper misses. A solar panel without a proper battery bank is like a faucet with no sink. It looks great, but you're wasting power the moment the sun goes down. That's why you need a lithium iron phosphate battery system that can charge during the day and run your essentials at night. Think 500 watt minimum, enough to power lights, charge radios, phones, a small fridge if you're clever, and yes, even a heated blanket if you get fancy. And don't just toss it in a box and forget about it. Vacuum seal the cables, bury the inverter, and wrap the battery in a thermal sleeve so it doesn't freeze its guts out underground. Add a voltmeter and extra fuses because you're not going to find those at the dollar store during a blackout. Oh, and GPS tag the burial spot. Don't be that guy digging holes for hours in the snow yelling, "I swear it was right here." This isn't Minecraft. It's survival. And that little buried solar setup might be the only reason you're the house with working lights when the world goes dark. Item number 7. Freeze-dried meals in weatherproof buckets. Let me guess, you've got a pantry full of canned green beans and enough pasta to clog a nation. That's adorable. But when the blackout drags on past day 5 and your propane runs dry, what's the one food source that'll still be good, still easy to cook, and won't weigh you down with bulk or bloat? Say hello to the kings of the emergency pantry, freeze-dried meals, and not the bland, chalky garbage your uncle stocked in 1993. I'm talking modern, protein-packed, nutrition-balanced meals that come in 25-year shelf-stable pouches and only need hot water to bring them to life. Want chili mac? Done. Creamy stroganoff? Oh, you fancy now. The science is wild. Freeze-drying locks in 97% of nutrients and flavor while removing up to 98% of moisture. That means no rot, no stink, no guesswork. Just rip, boil, pour, wait, devour. Companies like ReadyWise and Mountain House have entire entree lines that taste better than your last microwave dinner. Now, burying this stuff is an art. You need to think moisture-proof, pest-proof, and smash-proof. So don't just toss pouches into a hole like a squirrel on a Red Bull binge. Use gamma-sealed food-grade buckets, oxygen absorbers, and desiccants. Then wrap it all in Mylar and double-bag it in contractor trash liners. Add a map, GPS tag it, and bury them away from water runoff zones, because nothing ruins beef stew like swamp mud. When Texas froze over in 2021, thousands lined up at gas stations and fast food joints just for hot food. You're cracking open a 5-gallon bucket of cheesy lasagna in your backyard, nodding smugly while everyone else tries to cook ramen on a tea candle. You want morale? You want calories? You want comfort food? Bury the freeze-dried stuff, because it's not just survival, it's dinner. Every time. Item number 6. Potable water tablets, filters, and hidden collapsible reservoirs. There's a cruel little fact that most people don't realize until they're halfway through a blackout. The taps go dry long before the lights come back on. Municipal water systems rely on electricity to pump, filter, and pressurize. So when the grid collapses, your running water could vanish in a matter of hours. That's why number 6 is a 3-part lifesaver. Water purification tablets, compact, filters, and collapsible reservoirs, all buried, all sealed, all ready. In the 2003 Northeast blackout, over 50 million people lost access to clean water in just 24 hours. In places like Detroit and Cleveland, boil water advisories lasted for days. But here's the twist. You can't boil if you can't cook. That's why you bury the tools now. First, water tablets, chlorine dioxide-based, not iodine. They kill everything from E. coli to crypto, and they don't leave that funky chemical tang. Pair that with a high-quality hollow fiber water filter like a Sawyer Mini or Hydro Blue Versa, capable of filtering 100,000 gallons with proper backflushing. Then, and this is where 99% of preppers fail, you also stash a couple of heavy-duty collapsible reservoirs underground. I'm talking 5 to 20 gallons each, BPA-free, UV-resistant, with spigots for easy access. Because if your bathtub backup is full of dust or you didn't get a head start before the outage, you'll need containers fast. Add a few rolls of duct tape and repair kits in case your containers spring a leak, because nothing's worse than watching your drinking water seep into the dirt. Oh, and bonus, don't forget flavor drops or hydration salts. Water's great, but hydration is chemistry. Sodium, potassium, electrolytes, all critical when you're rationing. Burying this trio means no matter how long the blackout lasts, you're not stuck playing "Will this puddle kill me?" with every sip. Item number 5, a hardened EMP-proof Faraday box with backup comms. All right, let's step things up a notch. The power's out. But why is it out? If the answer is just a storm, you might be lucky. But if the grid got fried by a high-altitude EMP or a cyber attack, yeah, good luck turning anything back on. This is where most people get caught flat-footed, because even if you buried a gold-plated solar array and the best battery on Earth, it won't mean jack if your electronics got roasted like marshmallows by a coronal mass ejection, CME, or a targeted strike. It's happened before. Just look up the 1859 Carrington event. Telegraph wires caught fire. In 1989, a solar storm blacked out all of Quebec. And today, we've got 10,000 times more vulnerable infrastructure. So what's the play? You bury a damn Faraday box. We're not talking a tinfoil hat here. We're talking galvanized steel ammo cans lined with non-conductive foam, sealed with copper tape or conductive gaskets, and buried in a plastic weatherproof container. Inside, you stash backup comms, a hand-crank no-AA weather radio, a walkie-talkie set with encrypted channels, and even an old-school dumb phone with a long shelf-life battery. If you're smart, throw in a Raspberry Pi with offline maps, medical PDFs, and emergency broadcast software preloaded, all turned off, all wrapped in anti-static bags, all EMP safe. Why? Because after a true grid-down scenario, information becomes as valuable as food. The Internet's gone. Cell towers? Toast? You want to know what's happening, where it's safe, and what not to do? This is your lifeline. Trust me, you won't feel crazy when it's dark, silent, and every other device is dead. You'll feel like the one guy who brought a life raft to a flood. Item number 4, personal hygiene cache, with a side of medical supplies. Okay, let's get uncomfortable for a second. Power's been out for a week. You've been wearing the same clothes. Showers. LOL. Your toothbrush is dry. Your pits smell like regret. And your teenager just used the last roll of toilet paper to clean up a spilled can of peaches. Welcome to the dark side of disaster living hygiene collapse. And no, this isn't just about being stinky. Poor hygiene checks infections. Infections checks fevers, sepsis, ER visits. And guess what's also closed during a blackout? Hospitals. So what should you have buried? A complete hygiene and medical cache. Start with the basics. Toothbrush, toothpaste tablets, biodegradable soap, comb, nail clippers, microfiber towel, and yes, a metric ton of toilet paper vacuum sealed in a dry box like it's the Holy Grail. Add packs of baby wipes, alcohol-free for sensitive areas, dry shampoo, and a few menstrual hygiene kits. But the real unsung hero? Trash bags. Big ones. Because without trash pickup, you'll be dealing with a rising tide of your own filth unless you can contain and bury it properly. Then there's the med side. Triple antibiotic ointment, iodine swabs, butterfly bandages, emergency suture kits, gloves, tweezers, and oral rehydration salts. You're not playing doctor, but you are keeping someone from dying because they got a blister that turned into an infection. After Hurricane Katrina, post-disaster illnesses skyrocketed not because of trauma, but because of poor sanitation. In Haiti, after the 2010 quake, it wasn't the buildings that did the most damage, it was the cholera outbreak. You think it can't happen here? Think again. Bury this stuff now and thank yourself when your kid scrapes a knee and you don't have to gamble with gangrene. Item number 3, emergency hard currency and tangible trade goods. Let me hit you with some truth. When the power goes out, money doesn't. But it sure does change form. Your debit card? Useless plastic. Venmo? Offline. That crypto wallet you swore would make you rich? Try paying for eggs with Ethereum when there's no internet. In a prolonged blackout, society defaults to the oldest economy in the book, hard currency and barter. Which brings us to item number 3, your emergency stash of real, tangible value. First, cash. Small denominations. Think 5s and 1s, because no one's making change for 100 when the register doesn't work. Hide it in waterproof PVC tubes or ammo cans with desiccant packs, buried outside your home but close enough to access in a hurry. But here's the smart part. Go beyond cash. Bury silver rounds. Not collector coins, not bullion bars. Just 1 Oz. 0.9999 rounds that are easily tradable. Silver's been a trusted medium of exchange for centuries, and unlike gold, it's practical for everyday transactions. $25 an ounce today? That'll feed you when a $20 bill won't. Next, trade goods. Vacuum-sealed lighters, sealed mini liquor bottles, cigarettes, even if you don't smoke, over-the-counter meds, and yes, coffee and chocolate. Sounds silly? During the Bosnian War, chocolate bars and smokes were actual currency. In Venezuela, soap was worth more than bolivars. In the U.S. during COVID, toilet paper briefly became more valuable than stocks. You're not trying to build an underground Wall Street. You're making sure you can get what you need when money breaks. And spoiler alert, money always breaks eventually. So unless you want to be the one begging for clean socks in exchange for a Rolex, start burying your barter box today. Item number 2, family emergency binder and identity vault. This one might not sound glamorous, but it's hands down one of the most critical things to bury. Because when the lights go out, so do your access points. To banks, to records, to identification. Think about it. How do you prove who you are when the DMV is offline? Your birth certificate is in a locked safe you can't reach, and the only copy of your home title was digital. That's why item number 2 is the family emergency binder. Printed, sealed, and buried like your legacy depends on it. Because it does. What goes in it? Copies of everything. Driver's licenses, passports, social security cards, birth and marriage certificates, property deeds, car titles, insurance policies, health records, and even immunization histories. Include a full printed contact list, friends, relatives, banks, insurance providers. Toss in usernames and offline passwords to critical accounts. If you have crypto, print the seed phrases. Keep it all in plastic sleeves, organized in a fireproof pouch, double-bagged with silica gel packets, and placed in a moisture-sealed ammo can underground. Bonus points if you add paper maps, evacuation routes, local emergency frequencies, and a copy of your will or power of attorney. Because if you have to flee in the middle of the night, this binder becomes your identity, your ownership, and your lifeline. When Hurricane Harvey hit Texas, thousands were displaced, and those without documents, they couldn't prove who they were, let alone file insurance claims. This isn't overkill. It's survival admin. And if that sounds boring to you now, wait until you're standing in front of a FEMA checkpoint trying to prove your kid is really yours. Don't just prepare to survive. Prepare to rebuild. This binder is how you start. Item number 1. Tactical Underground Bugout Chest, your personal restart button. We've made it. Number 1. The Crown Jewel. The item so few people think to bury until it's too late. I'm talking about a tactical underground bugout chest. Not a backpack, not a tote. A sealed, armored container filled with the tools, supplies, and gear that lets you start over if everything else fails. Think of it as your buried break glass in case of collapse box. If looters raided your house, if fire took everything, if you had to run with only what's on your back, this is the stash you come back to. So what goes in it? Start with a rugged change of clothes, wool base layers, weatherproof jacket, waterproof boots. Add a multi-tool, fire starter kit, fixed blade, survival knife, water filter, and compact food rations. Throw in a solar battery charger, flashlight, and headlamp with extra batteries. Pack an emergency radio, an encrypted USB loaded with maps and documents, and a compact self-defense item, a slingshot, a collapsible baton, or if legal where you are, a firearm wrapped in a protective sleeve with ammunition in a separate compartment. But that's just the gear. Add personal touches, family photos, a handwritten letter to your future self, a morale booster. Sound soft? Not when you've lost everything. Mental strength is survival. People crack when they lose hope. This chest is your anchor. Your backup life. Buried 3 feet deep in a hidden GPS-marked location known only to you and maybe one trusted person, this is how you reset. After Hurricane Sandy, people who buried fireproof safes in their backyards were able to return weeks later and recover essential gear. You want to be one of them, because when everything's gone and the world is dark and cold and quiet, this box says, "Not today."